Good morning, well, for me, and good evening to you, Doreen. It's so
Yeah,
lovely to have
thank you.
you
Thank
here,
you.
despite some tech issues. I love technology, but I hate it at the same time.
I
It seems,
agree. I could not agree more. I mean, we're getting so used to it and having technology but at the same time, I also have the memories of when we didn't, and things could be
exactly.
things were a little less stressful, I feel.
Well, sometimes, I mean, let's face it, we couldn't be doing this um,
I agree.
if without technology. So I'm really, really grateful for that. It's just that when your computer decides to shut down and restart and update in the middle of
Right. In the middle of an interview. I
anyway.
agree. Yeah.
Welcome, Dorina. It's so lovely to be speaking to you, and welcome to anybody who is watching live or who will be watching the recording. Um, Dorina is a life coach and someone who has incredible experience. And I'm going to leave you to introduce yourself, Dorina, and also tell us a little bit about what you do. Um, what you do, because I know that life coaching is your dream, but it's not your full-time job at the moment.
Correct.
But also what part of life coaching you are advocating for or practicing, because life coach is an enormous, great big umbrella, really.
Yes.
Um, and no life coach is the answer to everyone for everything. So, um, yeah, just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
I, okay. First, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the invitation and having me here. I really appreciate it. Um, so yes, the life coach. I My focus on life coaching is stress management and organization skills. And with all that comes with stress management and organization comes changing of the mindset.
Mm,
Um, I felt one of the reasons why stress management and organization is so important. I felt, especially in today's society, you know, uh, things so many changes have occurred, especially after COVID, within our society. And, people for many different reasons are just stressed, stressed for many different reasons, family, their uh, personal reasons, workplace, um, you know, finances. There's all different reasons of why, people just feel stressed. And the importance of it, it's always in our society, people are always on the go and running, instead of taking those moments of just slowing down. Everybody's always rushing and running, and that just causes more stress in our lives, and that's why I felt like it's so important. I anxiety. I've come across so many people with within my own family with anxiety disorders, and people have a hard time, overthinking. The mind, I hear, is from others that like just constantly running with thoughts, overthinking, and how do you stop it? That's what questions people ask, like, how do you stop it? But what I offer is there's so many different techniques that we can use to stop, to stop the brain and slow it down a little bit. Just a lot of relaxation techniques, and they're all different. We're all we're all different, so the techniques are different. One technique may work for one and one may not work for the other. And so what I normally do, that's why I like to get to know the individual, and then offer the techniques that might work for them, or they try one, and if that doesn't work, we try another. Um, and organization, that kind of all comes within it. And when I say organization, it's both. It's organization as far as mentally, um, the thoughts that we have. It's like I mentioned, people, their heads spinning with thoughts, and I have to do this, I have to go there, I got to make this decision. When do I have time for this? It's organization comes as slowing down and organizing our thoughts and taking it one step at a time. Then also the organization in our home life, which I feel also is, very important. I mean, if you ever sit in a home where, things are just so decluttered and disorganized, that stimulates our brain to where it causes stress also. When we have things more organized, I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but just more organized, we feel that, it helps with also becoming more relaxed in our home environment, in the atmosphere that we're in. So that's why I feel like both of those are just so important. Stress management and organization, and then changing our mindset. All this is changing our mindset, so we can live a healthier and happier lifestyle. And it is possible. It is possible.
Well, just listening to you, I actually am a serial meditator. I've had a meditation practice for very many years, and without it, I would never have survived, to be honest. It has literally saved my life in situations where most people would crumble and disappear, sort of thing. But it's definitely brought me through. And when you're talking about slowing down and being organized, and it's all the same thing, really. For me, it's about being present. It's about coming to this moment and letting go of the past and letting go of what might happen in the future, and just being here now. Um, and that immediately takes the stress away, because you're not being pushed or pulled in any direction. You're here now, you're safe now, you've got a roof over your head now, right now, you're not hungry, you're here.
Correct.
And if you can live here now in every moment, it makes a huge difference, to stress, to life, to being able to make decisions, because you make the decisions that need to be made now. You're not worrying about the decisions that have to happen in
Correct.
the future.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, you exactly what you're saying. It's staying in the moment. I also kind of, I from what, working with others, sometimes I feel like some people just need a reminder that you can slow down. It's okay to take 15 minutes out of your day for some time for
Yeah.
yourself, to just breathe and be in the moment. And like you just mentioned, forget about the past, forget about what's ahead of you, and
Mhm.
just be in that moment, just to take care. I always say, just take care of your soul. Just
Oh,
a happy
absolutely.
soul. Yeah, happy soul.
Yeah.
A happy soul. It's so important, to our being. So
Mm.
yeah, just being one of think that one of my philosophies is simple mind, simple life.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have a tendency of complicating things for ourselves. And I was the same way, you know, before my recovery, my journey down that path, I was the same way. And, you know, I had a mentor that took me under his wing, and he taught me how simple life can be. I mean, yes, we have circumstances outside, you know, that can get chaotic, and
And that will never
that,
stop. You know,
exactly,
but how we relate to it is can change.
exactly. Right.
Mm,
It's how we approach it, how we deal with it. And if we just take a step at a time, a moment at a time, and
mm,
breathe times instead of holding our breath and just running, you know, with our heads cut off.
mm,
Take those moments, and that's what, and I love, you know, working with people and helping them, because it's all changing your mindset in becoming, and also it takes practice. It's not something that happens. It took me a long while to a long it took me years, you know, to finally meditation. Like, some people have such a hard time with meditating, you know, because they're so used to the noise in their brain.
yeah.
It took me a long time, but I can now meditate, and I don't need anything to help me. You know, I could take a 15 minutes of my own time in a quiet room and
Mm,
meditate within silence all on my own,
mm.
which some people, you know, have a hard time with that, but it takes practice. It took me practice to get to that point.
Yeah, I think too, it's a bit of a misconception that meditation is getting rid of thoughts. Because I've never got rid of my thoughts. I have a stream of consciousness going through me like a freight train most of the time. But what it is for me and my understanding about meditation and experiencing the silence is that the silence is there all the time as well. Your thoughts are there and the silence is there, but it's where you put your awareness. So it's not about stopping those thoughts, because actually, if you think about it, everything comes from source, doesn't it? Everything,
Yes,
including your thoughts. You're not
including our
separate.
thoughts.
We're not separate. So it's not that thoughts are bad. And in fact, in my understanding, thoughts are actually um, consequences or symptoms of stress being released. The more stress that's being released, the more thoughts come. So,
Right.
but we don't have to identify with those thoughts. Those thoughts are not us. And if
Correct.
you can and if you can become a witness rather than identifying with those thoughts, you immediately fall into the silence because you are coming from your soul or from consciousness, and you're watching movement basically. Um, so that's my experience with meditation, because I know that a lot of people say, I just can't meditate. I just can't do it. I can't stop those thoughts. Those thoughts are, I can't either. If that was meditation, I'm doing it all wrong. but 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 the fact of the matter is that if I put my awareness on watching those thoughts, and eventually that they just fade away, um, they don't fade away as much as they don't become important.
Right.
And it's like playing a game and watching TV at the same time. And I don't know if you do that. You know, you're playing a game on your phone or whatever it is, and you're watching TV at the
And the
same
TV.
time.
Yeah, I do that once in a while.
Yeah. And slowly but surely you get absorbed in the game, but the TV is still in the background. You're sort of following what's going on. It's kind of like that with the silence, you know. Um, you get into the silence, and yeah, the thoughts are going on in the background, but your focus is on the quiet and the peace and the expansiveness. And sometimes that's not so quiet and peaceful, though. It's in the experience of being quiet, you know?
Right. Correct. Some
Yeah.
people have right. So just like you're saying, some people have a hard time when they think of meditation and you're thinking it's like you're saying, no thoughts, quiet. And again, we're different. So different techniques work for different people. I know even for myself, though I can be in silence, I'm one of those fortunate ones where for a very short period of time, I can stop just in
So
silence, stop those thoughts. Yeah,
I envy
not
you.
not long, right? I was going to say, and there's not many that can do that. I'm one
No.
of those fortunate ones that can, um, but even for those, that's not what it has to be. And it's not
Mm-mm.
always about that. It's like some people I know is you could take meditation of like do you love the sound of rain?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
oh my
absolutely.
God,
I love it.
that to me is also a form of
A
meditation that
meditative.
is relaxing and very helpful for me. I absolutely love, not that I want it to rain during the day, but I love like raining at night when I
On the roof, yeah. On the
right,
rooftop, yeah.
the roof and the window and just listening to the sound of the rain just hitting, the
Mm.
roof and the window, and it just relaxes me. And I other clients that I work with, they say the same. It helps them a great deal. Um, so
Bringing you
there's
to the moment, isn't it? That's what it's doing,
right,
essentially.
right. It's just
Because you're
correct.
listening.
Listening to those raindrops, and it
Yeah.
is. It's keeping you
And you're,
in that
yeah,
moment,
yeah,
listening to that rain hit the
yeah.
window or the roof or the siding of your home.
Mm, mm.
So again, there's so many different techniques that are out there that people can use. That's
Yes.
helpful, and
So
again,
Dorina, do you teach people these techniques if they come to you and
yeah. What I do
yeah.
is so I give them examples of a technique to try.
Mhm.
And depending on the technique, yes, we'll together, because of course I'm working with the clients virtually. I'll do try these techniques as we're on a call virtually. And sometimes what I'll do is, and actually some of my clients kind of prefer it where, I just talk talk through, the
Mm,
breathing,
mm.
whatever technique it is, kind of
Because they
talking
need
through.
something. They need something to
Correct.
focus.
Need
Yeah.
something right. And I'll do that with them, if that's
Mm,
what their needs are. Again, everybody's different. So I'll do that on a call with them. And then I would ask, that they just keep trying that at home, on their own. Because it
mm.
takes practice, practice, but like
It sure
I'm
does.
big on practice, practice, practice,
Hmm.
and continue practicing. It does, it'll work, it does calm, and these techniques do work. Um,
It's just that you have to use them to allow them to work.
correct. You have to use them. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the that's where it goes wrong for some people. They might do it once or twice, and then their mind tells them, "Oh, you're not doing this right. This isn't working. This is boring. This is crap." All those, which are just thoughts,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but then they identify with them, and then they start saying, "Oh, actually, this isn't working. I can't do this. This is rubbish." Um, and as soon as that happens, they just stop doing it. So it's about being aware of that and not identifying with it, I think. What do you
Right.
think,
Yeah,
Rena?
I agree. Some of it is, changing, again, it goes back to changing our mindset. Thinking positive,
Mm,
instead of right away when you're given a technique thinking it's not going to work for me. It may not,
yeah.
I'm not going to BS anybody. It
Well, it
may not.
definitely won't if you think that it
Right. But
won't.
if you have that kind of mindset, you're right. It's not going to work for you. But
It's a
hey,
self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
it may work. A lot of this work also is just changing your mindset and thinking positive instead of saying it's not going to work. It can work. It may work. Um, you know, Keep trying it and let's see. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Then we'll find another technique. We'll try something else. I mean,
Something.
there's techniques for everybody. It'll work. They're different, but something will work if you really put your mind to it.
Mm,
So it's all up to the individual. I can't, we can't do it for them.
no.
It's all up to the individual. And some days may be easier than others. That's sometimes people need to realize, one day, one technique, it could work today, it could work tomorrow, later in the day, but there might be, let's say, another day where things are just happen to be so hectic that it might not work. And that's okay too. You
Yeah.
either try something else or you just go back to it. But there's just so many things that we can do to help ourselves, and just slowing down and
Mm,
taking care of ourselves. It all comes together with, keep being healthy, our eating habits, our
mhm.
exercising, those that love nature. Like I love nature. Like going for a hike, to me, that's a form of meditating for me.
Mm,
I absolutely enjoy hiking or just taking a drive in a car in the country, on a beautiful
mm,
day.
mm,
That's a form for me. That's a form of meditation. Sometimes I have the music on and sometimes I don't. I
mm.
turn the radio off and it's just quiet and I just, you know, take a drive and, so there's so many different things that we can do to
Oh,
help ourselves.
absolutely. And easy things. It's not
Right.
like you have to get into the lotus position and, you know, bend yourself up like a pretzel or anything like that. You don't have to do any of that. And I'm not putting any of that down, because
No, no,
some
no,
people
right.
that jam, that's what they love to do. But if you don't love to do that, you don't have to do that. you know.
Exactly. It could be just as simple as a breathing technique of just putting your hand on your heart and feeling your
Yeah.
heartbeat and then breathing in and out. It could be
Mm,
just as simple as that technique, and that could work with somebody. Or taking your fingers, take your thumb and each finger, and one by one, you touch the fingertips back and
mhm,
forth and concentrate, just feeling that touch, your fingers touching one another.
mm,
It just takes you away from, your thoughts of wherever else you're at, that other place that you're at, and just
mm.
bring you to the moment of just touch. It could be just techniques just as simple as that. And then some people need more, you know?
Yeah. Or even just watching the breath. And these techniques certainly are not new. They're thousands and thousands of years old,
Yeah,
probably since the beginning of time we've been, I would say at the beginning of time we didn't have as much stress or
right,
as much
right,
stimulus as we do these days. But these are these are things that people, human beings have done since millennia, for millennia.
right.
So yeah, to think I can't do it, um, for me, it's more I won't do it. When
Right.
people say
Well,
I
that's for
can't,
many.
usually I
Yeah,
won't. Yeah, yeah,
correct.
So
Um,
um, it's an act of will at first. It has to be an act of will, to choose to do it. It's always a choice to do it, but at first it's even more an act of will because, everything in you is saying, oh no, I need to be doing the washing up, I need to be cooking breakfast, I need to be doing whatever, all the things that you keep telling yourself that you need to be doing rather than taking this time for you to
right,
connect with
right. And that's
yourself.
and that's where my work comes in, where, like besides these relaxation techniques is helping people organize these thoughts and their activities. Um,
Yes.
what's important, prioritizing. Um,
Mm.
that's all comes into play, and that's
Mm.
one of the things that also that I enjoy working with people is helping them, with their daily routines. It all starts with, I have one client specifically, like I give her affirmations to start with in the morning, and she's been doing that, and it's been working great for her. She'll start her day, just telling herself these positive affirmations, and then she
Mm.
begins her day. And if she, in the middle of the day or later that day, all of a sudden she starts feeling, whether it be anxious or maybe these
Mm.
negative thoughts come in, as she's going with her day, she goes back to these positive affirmations and just
Mm.
repeats them to herself. And, you know, but sometimes people need like that guidance, that helping guidance through their daily routines and saying, why can't you put that off why does that have to be done today? What is the
Yeah.
reason that certain task has to be done at that at today or at that moment? You know, what if
Yeah,
we put that,
we'll stop.
right? What if we put that off to tomorrow? You know, so
Mm.
that's also a big part of my work is helping people prioritize and get through their daily routines. And some people have major decisions that they have to make, and they just need somebody to talk it through, without judgment. Their decisions are theirs, and that's also a big part that I also like want my clients to know is, the people that I work with, that there's no judgment. It's a safe place to talk and share whatever's on your mind, the decisions that you make, right or wrong,
Yes.
or and not they're saying that they're wrong. Just there's no judgment here. I'm just here to point things out, guide you through those. I'll ask questions. I'll make them think about it. I'll make them
Mm.
think about those decisions, and if that's is that the right decision for you? Is that something that you really want to do? Or are you making this decision because of sometimes we make decisions because of our negative emotions. We
Mm.
follow those instead of being honest with ourselves and what's really needed. And
Yeah.
I'll kind of dig into and into those thoughts and into someone's heart, and we'll figure it out together.
Mm.
So it all works together, and it's all part of the recovery path. you know
Yes, absolutely. Um, Dorina, it would be lovely to hear a little bit about your life and how you've come to this place. Um, this
um
place of being a life coach and yeah.
sure. So I started into coaching many years ago. It was the reason I started coaching was I went through my own dark path. I have a history of I come from a history of substance abuse,
Mhm.
trauma, and I was in a place, as I mentioned, very dark, and it was very chaotic, and I needed to make a change.
Mm.
Um, and it took me a while, but I finally I made that decision. Sometimes when people get to a time in their life where they feel like there's nowhere else to go, and that's
Mm.
where I kind of where I felt at the time, like nowhere else to turn, or didn't trust anybody, didn't even know if I was going to make it to be alive the next day, because that's the kind of road I was taking, the kind of path that I was on. But I then hit a point where I wanted to change. I really wanted to make the change. And I was a rebel growing up. I was through my high school years, I was a rebel. I became a type of person where I didn't listen to anyone, didn't take direction, but just, I don't need anybody. I'll do this all on my own. And
Mm,
I had to change all that. I had to change those thoughts. I had to ask for help. Um,
mhm,
I had to listen and take directions, and I did.
mm,
And that's what started my path through recovery. And I took it seriously. It was no playing, no games.
mm,
I did I had the most wonderful people come into my life, coaches, mentors. I also had to do therapy work. There is a difference. I also, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I always tell my clients. Sometimes we need, the professional help.
mhm,
So anyway, I took that path, and I did everything that I was supposed to. And then as I was getting better and better, through practicing, um, and that's where I started helping others then in that same path, helping people in substance abuse, being there for those people. I became very much involved in speaking in jails and institutions. I got involved to be an advocate for runaway children, or teens, runaway teens, and then children in through the court system.
mhm,
I did a lot of that work. I served 8 years in the United States Air Force. So then I became an
uh,
advocate for veterans, um, and also an advocate in the gay community.
yeah,
There's,
yeah.
this world still, our society still struggles, with the gay community, the whole, or the gay um issues, and you know
And
the whole,
actually, to be honest, it's not only the world that struggles with it, it's the gay community themselves that struggle
it
with
is some
accepting
individual, correct.
themselves, and when you when you can't accept who you are and what you are, and you identify with all the outside stuff, um, there's conflict and stress, if you can just love who you are,
You
because
hit
we're
the
not this
key.
body, we're not our sexual orientation, we're
Correct.
way
You
more than that.
you said the word. The key that I learned and through my recovery is the word acceptance.
Mm. Oh,
We
absolutely.
need I
Surrender.
had to accept, and I'm going to speak for myself. I had to accept who I was. I
Mm,
had to accept. I came from a family. My family was immigrants in the United States. They came from Italy, and it was different. I grew up. I had American friends who their lifestyles were different than my lifestyles. I was still, the Italian traditions that my family came over, but I had to
mm,
accept who I was in all areas of my life. I had to accept what happened to me, the
mhm,
trauma that had happened in my life. I had to accept. One of the things that I learned through the substance abuse was accept people, places, and things. Not only people, places, and things, but also to accept who I was. And
mm,
once I was able to come around to acceptance, it just opened many doors for me.
mm.
Um,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Mm.
so yeah, that acceptance is key. Um, you know,
And I think once you accept it, you stop identifying with it. You stop thinking that that is what defines you.
right,
Um,
those outer things, that's right, that's what we think. But it
mm,
doesn't. That's not what defines, it's
no.
not defined. I learned through my recovery and in that experience, I learned who Dorina was. You know,
Mm,
I learned, I dug deep and I
mm.
learned who I was, and I started liking myself. And then I got to a point of I love who I am.
Yeah.
I like the fact of being unique, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
you come to a point in your life when you're doing all this recovery work to where, I don't care what other people think about me. If they want to, I like keeping peace with everyone. I'm very friendly. You know, I don't, I'm not one who judges people.
Mm.
So if someone then comes along and they don't like me for whatever reason, that's okay. They don't, that's something,
You
that's on
can't
them.
be everything to everyone all the time.
Not, you
Um,
know,
yeah, I'm talking with you, Dorina. I don't, have you ever heard of William White Cloud? Um,
no, I don't
and
think I
his
have.
work. He wrote the book, The Secrets of Natural Success, and he also wrote The Magician's Way and The Last Shaman. And funny enough, his work just keeps coming up and coming up in a lot of conversations at the moment. But um, through his work, I came to the understanding of how we have unconscious beliefs that have been inculcated from, you know, probably, I mean, if you believe in that, past lives all the way through to when when you're 5 years old, like conception, in utero, as a baby, up to about 5 to 7 years old. Okay, when we start becoming uh, that individuation phase where we start realizing that we're individuals, or thinking that we're individuals and that we're separate from everything, because when we're born, we there is no separation. We are our mothers are us, everything. We only learn to be separate. But during those formative years, so to speak, we experience things, but we come like open and expansive, but we experience from our parents, because whether we like it or not, that's what, and as parents, if you're not aware, uh, even if you are aware, you're always going to um, create an experience for your kids, and whatever that experience is, you can say it's positive or negative, whatever it is, we build these unconscious beliefs in our psyche. And those unconscious beliefs are actually what inform our subconscious, and our subconscious creates our reality. Okay, so we're creating our reality all the time. um, and our subconscious takes the message that's loudest or that's focused on, and just without any, like you said, without judgment or anything, it says, okay, here's your life. you
Right.
know so so the the I guess the name of the game is to become aware of those unconscious beliefs. You can never get rid of them because they're there. They're
Right.
they're permanent programming, patterning, if you like,
Right.
but if you can become aware in any moment of what is informing your subconscious. So, is it my unconscious belief? And if it is, you can actually then, through an act of will, choose for something different. So I'll give you an example. Say a policeman comes up to your window, um, and somebody who has the world is not safe belief running through their mind, that I'm not good enough, running through their mind, they they will immediately become on the defensive and be belligerent and un, uncooperative, and usually they're the ones that get the ticket, get arrested, whatever it is, because they're like, you're not safe. But somebody else who gets, like with me, I get all those emotions, like, oh my God, I've done something wrong, which is my I'm not good enough belief running through there, and uh, what am I going to do, sort of thing. But when I become aware of that, I just take a deep breath and I can choose to be something different. So instead of being either defensive and angry or submissive, and I'm I'm like, I stand in myself, and I'm polite, and I'm generous, and I'm cooperative, and uh, there's there's many a time that I've got off a ticket or something, because I've noticed that initial reaction to either run away or get shitty or whatever it is, and chosen not to do that. So those unconscious beliefs are really, really strong, and particularly if you have experienced trauma, because those unconscious beliefs are they're screaming in your head, whether you notice it or not. That's what's dictating your life.
You
That's
can
what's
let it dictate if right,
yes,
you're
um,
allowed to dictate your life.
until you become
But
conscious of what. Yeah,
right, if you do the work of
yes,
you in the recovery and you do that work, yeah, those beliefs, you change those beliefs. One of the things is becoming very confident of who you are, of
yes,
what who the person, like, for instance, you use that example. For me, if I have a policeman that pulls me over, um my thoughts are, number one, I let's say they're pulling me over because I was speeding. Well, I was speeding,
yeah, yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I did wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
take
So
responsibility.
let me, yeah, I take my responsibility. If he pulled me over and I don't know why he pulled me over, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what I did. Let me see what he's
Hmm.
asking. And then, the other thing is just being, people do get defensive. Some people, you mentioned that, a little bit dependent on a person and their beliefs. It's just like people get defensive. There's no need to get defensive. It's, um, well, let me see let me see why I got pulled over, and it could be something
Yeah.
just really simple. So for me,
Or it could be a safety issue, whatever it is.
whatever, right? Yeah.
You can
Um,
either create
all
it.
about, go
Yeah,
ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, sorry. You can either make it a huge issue and something that's going to be
Correct.
safe and unhappy for you, or you can just be in the moment and choose to make it something that is nothing actually.
Right. You know,
you know.
right. And it all boils down to, the other thing is, life is life, and things are gonna happen, you
Mm-hmm.
know, bad. It's gonna happen. And though but what I learned is how I approach it, how I approach those incidents, and how I deal with it.
Mm.
I can make it worse if I want to, but it does. But,
absolutely.
the work I have done, I don't want to make it worse. I just turn it around and look at the positive out of it, or make it something positive out of it.
Mm,
Um,
mm. Yeah,
it becomes the easier way of life, instead of
absolutely. Yeah.
right, instead of making the situation worse than it already is.
Hmm.
It's all, that's why it all boils down to us. That's what people sometimes want to put all the blame on the other people or other things.
Hmm.
No, no,
No,
we have a choice. It's our
exactly.
choice that we make, whether we make things good for us or bad for us. You know,
Absolutely. Also, as we perceive them as good or bad, too,
or the
because
way we
sometimes
perceive.
things are just things. Yeah.
Right. And if it's bad, just we change our mindset of how we perceive that. It's just, okay, well, this happened. Yeah. You feel what you need to feel. And,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't, or what we feel is important, and you
Oh,
feel
I
what you
agree.
need to, and then you move on. You put
Yeah.
it aside and do the best you can with that situation,
Mm, mm,
but, you know, we have one thing that I learned is our brain is a very powerful tool. And
mm.
if learning how to use it in the positive way, all all kind of things, all kind of good
Mm,
positive things, you know.
absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all up to us.
And I guess that's part of my mission around education itself, as in formal education, is changing our paradigm from instructional compliance, uh, you know, sort of regulatory orientation to empowering and creating, creating human beings who know who know their power, who understand the principles of the universe. Can you imagine which and those people who know themselves, that they're all powerful. you know,
Yes,
the world would change in a generation if that's what we probably sooner, if that's what we focused on. Um, and yeah, so that's the other side of a lot of people ask me, oh, what does personal development and life coaching got to do with education? It's got everything to do with education. We never stop learning for one thing. But the other thing is too, you know, what so many of us are understanding now, um, we need to be gifting to our children, because then a lot of trauma and um, you know negativity, if you like, that is surrounding us at the moment in the world, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist because you know we'd all human beings would be creating deliberately the life, a good, or an expanded life, rather than um, focusing on our unconscious beliefs, rather than living by our unconscious beliefs, they'd be living
right,
deliberately. Yeah.
right,
Um, so your work, working with adults, is absolutely vital in my view, because you know us adults are bringing up the next generation,
right,
um, and whether we have children or not,
correct.
we're still creating, you
Yes,
know, a reality for these kids, and
yeah,
and so your work, healing and helping people to heal, and become more aware of who they are and where they're at, and um, organize their lives so that they're not in a spin or in a stress loop all the time, and um, brings makes space for what's actually important in life, you know?
Right. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's so, so important. Yeah,
Yes.
and your life story is really inspiring, Dorina, because
Thank you. Thank
a
you.
lot of people are have very similar stories. I know people who and actually William Whitecloud himself is a recovering addict,
Oh, okay.
um, or a recovered addict. I don't know how you would like. um, you know, and but there are people who never get over it,
No,
who
but
never
that's
become
their
aware.
choice also, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's the vital thing, is that it is to take responsibility, isn't it?
Yes,
We all have to take responsibility.
right.
Mm,
You make the decision that I want to change. I want things to be better. I want things to be different. And then
mm,
you make the decision to do the work that's necessary. And you keep working at it,
absolutely.
you know. Not just
Yeah.
when you feel like it. That's what I learned when I finally made that final decision into my recovery. I did everything that was absolutely necessary.
Mm,
Some of it was painful. Some of the decisions
mm,
and some of the changes that I had to make were painful. Um,
of course.
but I got to the other side. You get through it, you get through it. You will get through it. I mean, just living proof of that.
Mm,
And, now my life, I couldn't even, oh my God, I can't even imagine it. Like, such a grateful life that I live. My relationships now, with my family and close friends and, the things that I was able to accomplish. I would have never been able to accomplish those things if I didn't make that decision to get better and recover. I mean,
mm.
just, the way I deal with things now. And I'm not perfect, but trust me, I'm not for patience. I'm still working on patience. It's
Yeah,
ongoing. It's Some of these things are
I
ongoing work. I'm still ongoing and
agree.
working some, so I'm not saying I'm finished because we're not. I mean, I think if you are finished,
100%. We,
right,
that's when we shuffle off the small talk oil when we're finished
right,
with
exactly.
this
So
lifetime.
it's an ongoing process. I continue, but the thing is now I'm well enough and I've done so much work that I recognize, when I start getting impatient, I'm bringing up patience because that's one of my, when I start getting impatient, I
Me too.
recognize. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay, stop
yeah.
and
Take a deep breath.
breath, and and you're gonna wait.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
happen supposed
Because
to.
what else can you do, really? Yeah, you just
Right. But it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. But the other
yeah.
thing is just having, working together is, I'm big on teamwork.
Mm,
It's not working alone or I have to do this alone. No, you don't.
no.
You pull
And
in
in
the right
fact,
type of people,
yeah,
the right type of
and that's
support.
why we're here on this earth, aren't we? We're here
It,
to connect.
we work together. Let's do it together. That's what one of
Mm,
my biggest things when I'm right, when I out there putting out, it's like let's take this ride together. Let's
mm.
ride this journey together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, something you said, like it's painful, um, and it certainly is. And it reminded me of a saying. I don't actually know who said this, but um, the saying goes, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional."
Yes. I like that. I like that. And it's so
Mhm.
true too. So true.
Yeah,
Suffering is suffering is optional. We don't have to suffer.
yeah.
We don't.
Well, pain is inevitable because life goes on, but we don't have to suffer. But it's a choice. It's a choice. So
Correct.
I think that that's probably a brilliant place to stop,
Yes, it
Dorina.
is. Yes, it is.
And I would love to perhaps do another webinar sometime with you and talk about some of the techniques that
Yes,
you
I love that. Yes.
and perhaps we could invite people to come and join us and
Sure.
yeah,
Yes.
a
I'll,
workshop.
yeah, next time I'll have some techniques with me that we can,
Excellent.
go over and try and see what works.
Sounds fantastic. This
Yeah.
sounds
Thank you so
fantastic.
much. Thank you so much.
If you're watching this recording, please keep an eye out. Dorina and I will set something up and yeah, do a workshop. And if you'd like to connect and learn some things with Dorina and I, um, keep an eye out on the ARC Education NZ, and we'll definitely be bringing something to the table soon. Dorina, thank you so much for your
Thank
time and
you.
beautiful energy. And uh, yeah, I can't thank you enough. And for everybody who's watching this live or who is watching the recording, thank you so much. This will go on to YouTube. So please head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And Dorina, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.